was really bad at 2K. Like, why I am still very bad at 2K. I don't play video games, and I was playing my friend's little brother, and he's awesome at 2K. And so he let me take the NBA, like, all-era All-Stars, like Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, whatever.
Still lost by 40.
He played with the Cleveland Cavaliers when, like, post LeBron, when it was, and he took me to the woodshed, and he was, Chetty Osman was putting up buckets on my head, and he kept being like, Chetty!
That's amazing.
Chetty! And I'm like, Grayson, if you don't stop effing saying Chetty to me, and he goes, but Chetty's going off, though.
I think the Knicks are probably the 5th best team in the conference. You know, looking at it on paper, given the Heat, the pedigree points, given Boston and Milwaukee the edge, and then Phillies look really good. That's another team, sneaky team around the deadline. You know, Daryl Morey's always been very aggressive. One move could really put the Sixers over the top, though. I'm not a big believer in Embiid when it comes to the postseason, just because he's usually broken down around that point in time, and he doesn't get the same calls. Generational flopper for a big man. But you know, when the reffing gets a little tighter. But I'd say the Knicks are right in that group of teams. Again, they were there last year. My stock line used to be that the Knicks have won one playoff series since I graduated from high school. That is no longer true because they won a playoff series a year ago. So that's now 2 playoff series since I graduated from high school. And if they could win a playoff series, who's to say they can't win 2 with a slight improvement like they just made? I wouldn't be shocked if the Knicks are in the Eastern Conference Finals.
The Dolphins collapsing like they did last week with Josh Allen getting, I don't know if you guys agree, but I think snubbed from the Pro Bowl this year. This feels to me like one of those games that Josh Allen shows up and is that Josh Allen we all enjoy playing. So there's not a ton that I'm throwing a lot at because you just don't really know what teams are going to look like when there is no pressure, when there's a little pressure, when, we win and we got a shot, but we got to wait to see what Dallas is going to do at 425 to see if we won the division or whatever the case might be. Dolphins Bills, as cliche as it might be to pick that is the game, like it just sets up for Josh Allen to have some heroics. That's a team that could end the day as the number 2 seed in the AFC. It's also a day that team could end not making the playoffs at all. And those to me seem to be the games that Josh Allen kind of becomes Josh Allen. So I am going to bet the over 0.5 interceptions because that's what he does. But I'm probably also going to take a Diggs prop. I'm probably going to take an Allen prop. Probably going to take a James Cook touchdown somewhere in there as well, because it just feels like after what happened to Miami last week, this is a spot that Buffalo's got to feel real good about themselves.
Baltimore Ravens would be on a bye, which is why everybody's sitting out this weekend for them, and it's what they should do. You would have the Colts at Miami as the 7 at the 2 seed. You would have Buffalo, the 6 seed, at Kansas City, the 3, and Cleveland at Jacksonville in the 5-4 matchup right now. Now, if you guys were to look at all of these matchups and you had to pick one lower seed that you'd be the most confident in right now, just winning straight up, we're just talking money line, that's it, who would it be?
Cleveland.
Agreed. You guys want to win money.
Yeah.
If this is the playoff
Yes.
picture, here's what you do. You take a Dolphins, Chiefs, Browns money line parlay.
Yes.
What that means is that Miami would play Kansas City in the divisional round, and Joe Flacco and the Browns would head to Baltimore.
Yes.
And it's meant to be.
God, I wanna see
Flacco
that
is
so
going
bad.
to play
Yes.
the Ravens. It's what's going to happen. So that's the way I'm betting the AFC. I don't care who's the 2. I don't care who's the 4 this year. We know Kansas City's locked in the 3. Either Miami or Buffalo is going to be the 2, and whoever wins the AFC South is going to be the 4. 2, 3, and 5 are winning in Wild Card Weekend in the AFC, and I'm parlaying it all. That's all you have to do, because Joe Flacco's coming to Baltimore. My narrative Peach thought is that for the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl this year, Lamar's got to beat Flacco, right? It's going to be like the changing of the guard.
The passing of the
guy
torch.
You seceded, who won a Super Bowl. Now it is truly your team. It's your town. And then I think they play Mahomes in Kansas City in the AFC title game for the right of who the best player in football is for a long time. I mean, even still, people right now think it's Patrick Mahomes, and that's totally fair. He's got it done in the playoffs. But wait until Lamar starts winning playoff games. Then the narrative, I think, changes. Because I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. To me, the Kansas City Chiefs team this year feels a lot like what the Ravens have been the last couple years. Great defense, no wide receiver help, great tight end. The big difference, Andy Reid, Greg Roman, right? That's what you have.
Yeah.
So Lamar, with those terrible receivers, with a good defense, was able to win games with Greg Roman calling plays. We obviously see the difference with Todd Monken and what new receivers have done. Even the great Patrick Mahomes has struggled mightily this year with Andy Reid as his coach and with all the garbage they've given him at wide receiver. So if Lamar starts winning, if he wins in the playoffs, if he gets to a Super Bowl and wins a Super Bowl, I think the conversation is going to start changing real quick.
Yeah.
So that's my thought. Flacco, Mahomes, Super Bowl.
You got to say it right, though.
Come on.
Flacco. There you go.
Yeah.
I also agree about that take, but I think that what's interesting is that Lamar, and maybe because the success hasn't happened yet, the postseason success hasn't happened yet, but Patrick Mahomes is just not handling that adversity and those L's and those frustrations as classy.
No, because he doesn't know how.
Because he doesn't know how.
He's just won his whole career.
He's just won.
Yeah.
And Lamar's had to take his lumps.
Yes.
And so Lamar has just kind of allowed everything to go off of his back, like, water off of a duck's back there. But Patrick Mahomes isn't capable of doing it. And I think Lamar is really a lot closer in terms of skill. If you were to just switch him teams, like you put Pat Mahomes on the Ravens 2-3 years ago, you put Lamar on the Chiefs 2-3 years ago, I think the outcome for those two teams are the same.
I mean, how long was I begging you guys to get rid of Greg Roman?
I mean,
like,
all
you're
year.
seeing the results. Like, this is all I have ever wanted.
Well, they got him some weapons, too. Let's
That's
add that. But yes,
Zay
Greg Roman
Flowers
was a big problem.
That's all I
Zay
wanted.
Flowers has been absolutely more than anyone could have even imagined.
Zay's great. OBJ's been great in big games. I'll tell you, the guy that nobody talks about on the Ravens, which has been a really good pickup for them, was Nelson Aguilar.
Yes.
Like, Nelson Aguilar in some key moments has some big receptions, so he's been great. Isaiah Likely, I'm telling you guys, like, Mark Andrews is the better football player, but Likely does things that Andrews can't do.
Right, yeah.
And I think his speed with Lamar as a quarterback really helps. I mean, the guy's lost Dobbins, he's lost Andrews, he's lost Keaton Mitchell.
But that's every year. This team knows how to replace guys.
and they
Everybody gets hurt in Baltimore.
They keep rolling.
The NFC playoffs were to start today. We'd be looking at San Francisco having the bye. And then the 2-7 matchup would be Green Bay at Dallas. Then the 6-3 matchup would be the Rams at Detroit.
Ryan and Trista.
And you know what? Yeah, that might be a show bet there. The 5-4 is Philadelphia at Tampa. First off, I just want to point this out. The AFC playoffs sound a lot better than these matchups right now.
They do.
I mean, big difference here. But I'll ask the same question that I asked before because we all agreed Cleveland would be the upset in the 5-4 matchup in the AFC that we all would love. Is there one, or maybe more than one, that you would like in this, taking straight money line bet, underdog, lower seeded team? Well, let me tell you, when I say that, I'll say the underdog, not lower seeded, because we're looking at Tampa and Philadelphia, and that's not fair because Philly, as bad as they've been playing, I don't know. Actually,
let's guess the lines.
You know what?
It's at Tampa. It's probably Tampa -1.5.
No.
I think
Tampa
Philly's
plus
still a
1.5?
slight favorite.
Philly's favorite.
Philly's is still like
I
maybe
bet
1.5.
you Philly would be. I think they're -3.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I think Detroit is -2.5, -3. Dallas probably -6.5 would be my guess.
Philadelphia's playing so bad right now, though, guys. I'm going to be honest with you.
Hard to say, yeah.
I think I would take Tampa. I think I'd bet Tampa to win that game because the teams that play the worst heading into the playoffs are some of the best upset picks that you can possibly have. I mean, Philly is a complete mess right now.
Yeah, I like the Tampa play. I think the one I'm the most concerned about, I'm concerned for Detroit.
Yes.
Stafford Goff sort of
That'd be
revenge
fun.
spot in Detroit. Stafford stomping grounds. You know what he knows. He's going to be trying to ball out there.
Yep.
And, battle of two very different but dynamic coaches. And I think, I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams won that one.
Mm-hmm.
No, not at all. Not at all. That would probably be my upset, would be the Rams, I
That'd be a
think.
fun game.
That would be a really, oh my God, Ford Field is going to be rocking for whoever they play, but especially if Stafford's in town. Philly-Tampa would be a tough game. Even the way Philly's playing, though, I still think I would lean on them to win that game. I just think that's going to be one of those games where you're watching and Philly's struggling, but it might be like when we watched the Bucks last week and we're like, oh, there's the Baker Mayfield we know and love. Like he goes 3-4 weeks playing great football, and then he has a game where he turns the ball over 2-3 times. I could see that happening against Philly. I don't know. It just almost feels like Philly just wants to get to the finish line at this point. Like they're just ready for the playoffs to start. They were 10-1. Then they go into they beat Kansas City. They beat Buffalo. Everything's great. And then you just get absolutely demolished by San Francisco, demolished by Dallas, lose a heartbreaker to Seattle. Doesn't feel like they have anything left in the tank. That's why I'm surprised that Sirianni is kind of isn't resting guys this week. Like Dallas ain't losing to Washington.
Yeah.
Don't even mess around. Just give your guys a week off. Yeah, that Wembanyama play was sick, by the way.
Yeah, did you see what just happened? Wemby just threw it off the backboard. Again, he makes it look easy because he's 8'9" and has a 12-foot wingspan, but still, you're just watching it going, God, there he goes.
Playing on a Nerf hoop.
Yeah, it's
really
true.
Good.
I'm with you in the sense that Philly should be the favorite if they're going to be at Tampa. Philly is the better team. But there's just something about those. We've seen those games before, right? Where bare minimum, the team that wins the division that really shouldn't be a playoff team gets in because you got to let somebody in from that division.
Yep.
Bare minimum, they're at least competitive. If Philly's -3, I think I would at least bet Tampa to cover in that game because we watched Washington years ago with Taylor Heineke bring in Tampa into their stadium and almost beat Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks, who eventually won the Super Bowl. Yep. We watched years ago Seattle beat New Orleans with the Marshawn Lynch run. They were a 7-9 team, and I don't remember off the top of my head what happened when that Carolina Panthers team that was 7-9 when they won the division. What that playoff game was?
Yeah,
what that was.
Remember that.
But
one.
they're usually very competitive because these teams have nothing to lose.
Let's go.